This morning, I had the opportunity to interview Clark and Mark Pitman from Two Friends, Two Legs, One Mission. They're currently undergoing a virtual ride across Canada for 4,860 kilometers in memory of Terry Fox and his Marathon of Hope.
Less than halfway through, aren't we? I think we're about 40% of the way distance-wise.
That's amazing.
Paul, he's fitter than I am, so I'm trying to. Obviously, we do the cycling in our own homes, but I noticed on the app he's way ahead of me, so I'm struggling to keep up with him.
That's good. A little friendly competition helps, right?
Oh, absolutely. He's very competitive. He plays football.
Nice.
He's younger than me, though. I'm an old.
We're about 45% of the distance.
That's amazing. When did you start?
The 12th of April.
12th of April, which
the
was
same day Terry started.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you guys been doing the Conqueror challenges for a while now?
We started earlier this year.
January
time.
So this is the first year that you've done it?
Yeah. I'd seen it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I messaged Marc and said, look, let's do something, one of these challenges. We'll do it for charity.
Yeah.
And I wanted a bit of a challenge. So instead of just doing one, we bought a package which gave us 5.
Yeah.
So we had Mount Everest, Mount Fuji, Great Ocean Road in Australia, the Cabot Trail in Canada, and Grand Canyon.
That's amazing. So you started right off of the gate with let's do all of the challenges. You picked a pretty difficult set.
No, there's loads more. There's about 22 in total. In fact, yesterday they just released another one, which is up in Scotland, around the border of Scotland.
That's amazing.
Which is a good one. So I put it to Marc and said, right, this is what we're going to do, 700 miles, and we'll do walking, a bit of rowing and a bit of cycling. Now we were walking 5 miles a day, then doing 5 miles cycling or rowing as well, and we completed the whole 700 miles in 69 days.
That's pretty impressive.
It was good, and we did that for a mental health charity.
Okay.
Here in the UK, which raised £10,500.
That's incredible.
And we chose mental health charity. I mean, we could have done amputees.
Yeah.
We could have done cancer research in the UK, which gets a lot of support already here in the UK. So we thought, let's do something different. And obviously with the pandemic, a lot of people were suffering from mental health, more being stuck indoors and not being able to get out. So we chose mental health, and yeah, it went really well.
That's fantastic. So what made you guys decide to do this for charity?
The one we're doing at the moment?
When we first, I'm more the social guy. I'm the one who does all the posts and bits and pieces on social media, so I'm probably better off to explain this. When we first said we were going to do the 5 around the world for mental health, I put it on social media, and it was the Cape Breton Post contacted me out of the blue on Twitter.
Journalist, wasn't it? Journalist from.
Spoke to a lovely guy, and he was telling us about the Terry Fox and different parts of Canada, and it appealed to us. Something sort of clicked with us, and then as we were doing the Cabot Trail, and I was doing social media posts, screenshots of pictures, and that as we were going around, I started looking more into Canada as a whole, not just Cape Breton, but as a whole country, and got into the Terry Fox story, and it just blew my mind. Again with Marc, and we sort of said, right, our next challenge, wherever it might be, and we hadn't actually decided at the time what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Let's do something for Terry Fox. And then I then come up with the idea of travelling from east to west.
Seemed the obvious sort of route, really, didn't it?
I know, right? He kind of plotted out the route for us here.
And Terry's brother actually asked us if we'd change the route slightly.
Right, yes.
Which was fine. I think it's because Terry's route means a lot to them.
Yes, absolutely.
No one else has done that exact same route.
Yeah.
So yeah, we changed it slightly. So we went across to St John's instead of going down to Toronto.
Yeah.
And then when we get to Winnipeg, we're going slightly north.
Oh, nice.
Instead of going straight across to Victoria,
yeah,
we're going slightly north and finishing at Prince Rupert.
That's fantastic. So,
yeah,
I mean, obviously in Canada, Terry Fox has been a Canadian icon for years. We've been celebrating his Marathon of Hope for, this will be the 41st year or the 41st anniversary of the Marathon of Hope, and he's taught in schools. All kids in Canadian schools participate annually in the Terry Fox Run in his memory. So, did you guys know about him before all of this started?
Well, if I can just say, I'd never heard of Terry and his story, and yet my background was very similar to Terry's in that I had chondrosarcoma, not osteosarcoma, sarcoma, which Terry had, and I've been I've had a disability for many years before that. I contracted the cancer, and so I'm talking about the 80s. So I had a prosthetic leg in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s as a young child, even before I became an amputee. It's quite complicated, but I'd never heard of Terry, and I wish that I had heard his story in the 80s, because it would have helped me, would have inspired me, and we only found out very recently, and it's such a shame. And yet I was at a school today doing some schoolwork with some other disabled guys, and I had the chance. They were primary level, so quite young, age 9, 10, 11, and I had an opportunity to actually mention Terry Fox to the children in the UK school, and also to the teachers. And I said to the teachers, please just remember that name and what he did, and do some research, because it's a fantastically inspiring story that I wish that I'd heard. And I think if Paul had heard it when you lost your leg, it would have helped us so much more if we'd known about his story. And it's massive over in Canada, but over here, it's like we just don't, I don't know. It's just crazy, isn't it, that his story isn't over here as much as, we're amputees and we didn't know about his story.
Even when I started sort of looking into it more, and if you look at all the countries that do an annual run for Terry, we do one here in England.
Yeah.
We've never heard of it.
No.
It's actually pretty recent. They expanded to global run sites within the past couple of years. So for a long time, it was just Canada. And I think we ended up with a couple of Canadians around the world and other people who, like you guys, have heard his story, and it really resonates with a lot of people. He was virtually a kid still when he was diagnosed and went through treatment, and through his experience being in the cancer ward in hospitals and meeting all the other kids with cancer, I think that resonated with him the most, and he realized that there isn't enough awareness necessarily for cancer research, and we've come a huge way since then.
Yes.
So what inspired you guys to follow this route?
The route or Terry's...
Like Canada in general. Like I know you said you've done the Conqueror challenges. What brought you to Canada virtually?
Yeah, Paul's got a bit of a passion about
Canada.
I
can't put my finger on it, but I've always had a fascination with Canada.
That's awesome.
If I was to move out the UK today, Canada would be my destination.
Well, we would gladly welcome you. We're very friendly here.
Me and the wife, absolutely, I don't know what it is, but we absolutely love Canada. But it was when we were doing the Cabot Trail, we obviously ended up in the front page of the newspaper, on the Post. We did a radio interview. We did the TV news interview, News at 5. Twice we did that. The second one was towards the end. And that's then when they invited us over. So yeah, we're coming over to Cape Breton next August.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Hopefully by then everything will be a little bit more normal. You can come and tour the sites.
And it was the support we were getting
From the Canadians.
From the Canadians.
Yeah.
I mean, we raised £10,500, and I'd say over 30% of that came from Canada.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic.
Put us to shame, really. Put us to shame.
we had donations from all around the world. Come New Zealand, Australia, France, Spain, Ireland, Switzerland. They were coming from all over the world. But Canada, we seem to get more from anywhere else. It's nice. We want to give something back to Canada. And we couldn't think of a better way of doing it.
Seemed obvious, but to do this
in memory of Terry.
Yeah, really, it seemed natural to us to do that as amputees, but also because, as Paul said, we got such a warm, sort of generous support from.
I think the hardest thing that I've found, obviously, we are trying to fundraise and raise as much money as we can. Being stuck over here and not actually in Canada. It doesn't help at all because we don't have the contacts for businesses.
Yeah.
Social media pages. Now, we could probably hunt them on social media, but then trying to find the good ones
exactly
could take a while.
Yeah.
So how much have you raised so far?
We've got 2 pages going. One's mainly which we set up in the UK.
Right.
And then obviously once then the foundation got involved, they wanted us to set up one through them.
Yes.
So I think we're up just over about 2,500.
That's fantastic.
Dollars.
So what has been the most challenging part of this particular Conqueror challenge?
I think for me personally, because our first challenge together was, it was a charity event, and I don't know if you know, but as a group of amputees, it was 3 years ago, wasn't it? I think end of May, June, we raised, how much did we raise for an amputee charity?
Just over £12,000.
We raised just over £12,000 by, we climbed the highest mountain in Wales. In Wales, isn't it? Mount Snowdon. And we did that. Paul's permanently on crutches, and I took my prosthesis off, and I did it on one leg and crutches. And so it was like a 10-hour climb, 5-hour climb of Snowdon and 5 hours down. But we did that event, you can't do that over a long period of time. You do that on one day. So we found that we had lots of time to build up the momentum of raising the awareness of what we were doing. And for us, the challenge was on that day. And it was a hard challenge because it was the distance and just the terrain was like unreal, wasn't it? So, it was a fantastically challenging event. But because it was all on one day, you psychologically, you build yourself up for this one day and you'd complete it and that's it. But with this, and I knew this was going to be my challenge, not so much for Paul because I think he's more focused than me, or perhaps he's got more time than me, but it's like committing to, which is what we have done, is committed to 30 miles a day on the bike or walking, or if we do that as well. But it's every day for over 5 months of every day making that decision to get on the bike. And it's hard, 30 miles on a bike.
It's not a small task.
It's a lot. But the beauty of doing it indoors on our spinning bikes is that we can break it down. So I tend to do 10 miles in the morning, 10 at lunchtime, and 10 in the evening, because I find it hard to do it all in one go. It takes about an hour, just under an hour, to do 10 miles. So the hardest part for me in this one is the everyday commitment, which is what it's taking, really, which is why I'm lagging behind Paul. Not that I'm less committed, I'm just busier than he is. I've got a social life that I don't think Paul has. I've got more kids than he has. That's what it is. Yeah, I've got more kids.
That tends to take up more time.
Seriousness for me. Sorry?
That tends to take up some time.
It does, yeah. You've got 5, have you? Oh, well, I've got 6, so there, I'll beat him. But no, for me, it's been that, making that decision every day is sometimes harder than making that decision once. I'm sure that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, for Terry Fox, I know he found his motivation with his experience meeting other kids who had cancer.
Yes.
So what do you find, in the morning when you get up and you're trying to get going, what motivates you to continue that day?
I've set myself a routine. Again, I do split it into 3 sessions. The last few weeks we've had some hot weather here, so I found it quite difficult in the morning and afternoon to do my 2 lots of 10. So I've done most of mine in the evening when it's been a bit cooler. To get up every day, probably one of the first things in my head is Terry was getting up early hours in the morning in a pair of shorts, t-shirt, running in wind, rain, snow, freezing cold temperatures, and by following his diary on the social media page on Facebook, seeing he's put in his diary, found it difficult to get up today, this, that and the other, I just think, right, if Terry could do it, I need to get up and do it.
Yeah.
There's no comparison really, is there, what he did compared to what we're doing. What we're doing is we're saying, well, it's really difficult to, do this. But
get
actually,
up and get on a bike today.
I've been following every day his diary.
Yeah.
Which was posted on Facebook. And it was only a couple of days ago that he had his first day off.
Exactly. He took one day.
One day.
And there's some days on there he wrote down in his diary, freezing cold today, didn't want to get up, found it difficult to get up. Loads and loads of different things, but yet he still got up and did it.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm sure Canadian weather is pretty similar to what you guys have, but Canada in April is not the most pleasant time of year.
No.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah, we still have lots of kind of snow, rain. We call it Canadian spring, which means we're going to get all of the weather within a month. So he ran through that and somehow kept going.
Nice. Yeah.
So I know you've been following along with his diary posts. Have you been able to see some of the monuments along Canada as you've run through?
Yeah, and even when we first started and we were doing, obviously we were putting out that we were doing this, especially on the Conqueror community page, a lot of Canadians, and in fact there's well over 2,000 Canadians on that page.
Yeah.
I had people actually sending me pictures of different pits around their towns. One woman sent me pictures of right at the start. There's a picture of where Terry started. There's a monument of him just setting off. So people were sending me pictures of this, that, and the other. I think someone sent me a picture of where he finished, where he stopped his run. And obviously I'm doing my own research and whatnot as we go along as well.
That's pretty cool. So if you guys had the opportunity to speak to Terry and ask him a question, what would you ask?
That's a good question. That's a very good question, isn't it? What would I ask? I guess I would ask him how he was able to motivate himself, and maybe who inspired him, because there's a difference between inspiration and motivation. You can only motivate yourself, whereas others can inspire you. So I wonder if there was someone that inspired him other than his why. They say if your why is big enough, the way is easy. So obviously his why was he wanted to make a difference, and with cancer research because of his personal story. But where he got his inspiration from, and how he motivated himself on a daily basis, I don't. That would be my question: is how are you able to motivate yourself, for every day? Because at the moment we're very lucky. I tap into a lot of motivational, podcasts, or there's lots of YouTube videos. You can listen to so many different motivational speakers that are around and listen to audio books. I don't know in the 80s whether there was the same kind of, whether there were these motivational people or inspirational speakers, like Tony, whatever his name is, the big gurus. But I don't know. That's what I would ask him. Is probably. Yeah, that's same for you. Would you say? Yeah.
So what words of wisdom would you pass on to other people who are taking on Conqueror challenges or trying to follow in Terry's footsteps or endeavoring to do a large-scale project like this? What would you tell them?
Never to give up. Set yourself a goal and just keep going on it. Whether you're fast out the tracks or you're someone who does things a little bit slower, just persevere with it, stick to it, set yourself a routine, and get to
Just
the
do
end.
it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all the questions I had for you guys. It's been such a pleasure to meet you both.
Oh, thank you.
I wish you the best of luck on the rest of your journey. You said you're at 40%?
45%, yeah.
There you go. You got this.
We're just outside. We're
On the map, on the virtual map.
Is it Saint Marie?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, not far. I think tomorrow we reach there.
Nice.
And I was actually looking the other day. I did a post on Terry's prosthetic leg, and it was actually when he got there that he had his leg fixed.
Yeah.
Which was using parts of an old car.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he got there, he actually his leg springs or something had gone in it.
Yeah.
So he actually used parts of an old car
Wow.
to fix his leg.
Yeah, there's something to be said for old technology or old mechanics, because you used to be able to, in the old days when prostheses were made out of steel, leather, wood,
Yeah.
you could do something with that. But my prosthetic leg, it's like a highly technology. It's like a microchip, a battery.
Yeah.
If anything goes wrong with this, I haven't got a clue.
I
couldn't
know,
fix it.
exactly.
I know whether they do similar route to what we're doing, because I don't think they will actually be able to do the same as what Terry did.
Yeah.
But Conqueror community are actually looking at doing
That would be amazing.
a medal for
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
A marathon of hope
obviously
medal
they will
would
have
be
to
pretty
contact
impressive.
the foundation, because obviously the foundation's got a lot of do's and don'ts in place.
Yeah, exactly.
In the route, but yeah, they are looking at doing across Canada.
That would be very cool.
They would,
On another challenge, eventually, I want to go back to Cape Breton
Yeah.
in 3 or 4 years' time after we've been, and I actually physically want to walk
Yeah.
the trail in person. So I'll have a support vehicle behind me, and I'll actually camp out in a tent each night, and I physically want to walk it in person.
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard about when Terry did it, he had a lot of junk food in the truck and a lot of KFC and fried chicken and all of the junk to keep him going. So you'll have to replicate the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you guys this morning. I wish you the best on the rest of your journey. And please keep in touch. Keep me posted on how it's going.
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks, Tara.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.